When Ryan's when it's time to begin, it's on the Review of Raw with John Pollock and Wai Ting, the A-Team that makes sense of these things we see in the ring every week on TV. It's Review of Raw for Monday night, download a Tuesday morning from the Fight Network site. It's Review of Raw for Monday night on USA Now on the John and Wai Take the Mic.
Welcome. It is John Pollock along with Wai Ting, and this is Review of Raw. Live. You know, that's their goal, Wai, is to get live at the end of every program that they put out.
Their goal? What do you mean?
Well, we got SmackDown Live, we have 205 Live.
Oh, okay. To add the word live to every show.
That's the point, yeah.
Does it make you want to watch it more?
No.
Raw, I think by this point we all know that it's live. We're conditioned to have it feel that it's live. 205, though. Was that taped or live? I don't know.
Imagine it was just 205.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be enough.
Doesn't really have a ring.
We have lots to discuss. We're going to dive right into things. It is our review of Raw from Monday night in Greenville, South Carolina, at the beautiful Bon Secours Wellness Arena.
The Bon Secours Wellness.
Bon, like good in French, but
Oh.
I don't know what this is.
Okay.
It
sounds
some kind
French.
of- this used to be the Bilo Center, not the Delo Center, the Bilo Center. And this was the building of one of, I would say, the most famous moment in Nitro history. What would your guess be?
The finger poke of doom.
No. I mean good. A good moment in Nitro history.
Good moments.
Smaller list.
In Nitro history. I don't know. Bill Goldberg championship win.
That was at the Georgia Dome. This was Ric Flair's return after his contract issues with WCW.
Okay.
And Nitro was one of, if not the first events to ever take place in this venue. It happened like 11 days after I spent an hour researching
Wow.
the
Thank you.
Bon Secours Wellness Arena. And that was, I would say that was the biggest Nitro positive moment in their history, was that reaction to the reformation of the Horsemen and Ric Flair coming back and biting his lip. He's a bloody mess.
What percentage of the crowd tonight would you say attended that show?
10. No,
10,
less.
10%?
6% maybe. Who are taking their kids now and telling them how much better wrestling used to be. So this kicked off with a Memorial Day video voiced by John Cena, the spokesman of the company. And there was a clip within this video of President Obama speaking. And then they cut to the crowd chanting USA, USA to start the show.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good, really powerful video, and I'm not even American.
Yeah.
This is just really well done.
This just wanted to get you to jump off your couch and join in the chant.
Yeah, these are always well done, and I think Cena provides a wonderful voiceover. But it leads me to think, once Cena's gone, who would they get to do these? Cena is just so perfect, playing that all-American guy. He does a lot of stuff for the troops, of course.
This is such a unique kind of
Babyface.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even associate older names like that. You wouldn't have pictured The Rock or Steve Austin voicing
Nope.
a video like this. It was Vince McMahon who used to do these.
I can't picture Roman Reigns doing it. I can't picture not Finn Balor.
Kurt Angle.
I guess.
Bayley.
Of all people. I can't see any of the women kind of doing that. I don't know. It's a good question. When Cena is no longer around in a few years, who do they get to voice these things?
Well, the man's voice isn't going anywhere.
I suppose, but he won't be. Yeah, if he's not a part of the show, he can't really justify having his voice.
Yeah, this was quite the video to open things up. And then the show started proper with a graphic for the three-way tonight involving Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, and Bray Wyatt, and Corey Graves asking what's on everyone's mind, who is going to carry the momentum into Extreme Rules? Who was going to get that invisible pouch and be able to fly into Extreme Rules via these wings that this win would provide them? Miz TV kicked things off with The Miz and Maurice out calling Dean Ambrose a thief for stealing his Intercontinental title, called Ambrose a habitual rule breaker, and that's why he got the stipulation he chose. They recap the Elias Samson match from last week and brings out his guests for tonight, Sheamus and Cesaro. They come out, and Sheamus reiterates that the people turned on Cesaro when the Hardys came back. There were delete chants. He says the fans have no loyalty, they're fickle, and they're going to destroy the brand new toys, the Hardys, at Extreme Rules. And Miz is going to rescue the Intercontinental title on Sunday when they are interrupted by Dean Ambrose. And this Greenville crowd, they made Dean Ambrose and in a few minutes the Hardys feel like gigantic babyface stars coming out. They got some incredible reactions, which has not been the case for a lot of these Raw episodes. I mean, it's just kind of...
The Hardys have always been...
The Hardys do
great
get fairly strong reactions, but especially for Dean, and I think they were extra amplified for the Hardys here. I mean, in South Carolina, not all that far.
Right.
Then The Miz runs him down, says that he's outnumbered. I mean, you could telegraph where all of this was going from the start. And Ambrose brings out his backup, the Hardys, who come out. Place goes nuts. They all enter. They cleared the ring of the heels. And we come back, and wouldn't you know it, a 6-man tag has been put together involving all of these men who all have conflict that is set to expire on Sunday. Perfect. Just was like, man, everyone read each other's minds perfectly, and we did not book anything else for this first half hour. It's amazing. So Ambrose and the Hardys take on The Miz, Cesaro, and Sheamus. Match began during the break. They got the heat on Matt for a while. Sheamus, he did this little thing that I liked. He always beats down on the chest, and the crowd counts. And as soon as he recognized they were counting, after all this time, he stopped to stop their fun of yelling out numbers that follow the last one they yelled. This was a great cutoff by Sheamus. Ambrose tagged in. He sent Sheamus to the floor. Cesaro blocked a suicide dive by grabbing his leg. Then Miz yanked Jeff off the apron, so Ambrose cannot make the tag. Matt gets taken to the floor, so Ambrose is all by himself. He gets double-teamed by Cesaro and Sheamus. Then Ambrose hits the flying elbow to Sheamus, lunatic lariat, makes the hot tag to Jeff after he dives into the corner, and he tagged no one. And then it was like this big, heroic dive, but he came up short, and then he had to just reach up and hit Jeff's hand.
It was rather odd because...
He dove to Matt.
He was going for Matt, and Matt clearly knew that he wasn't supposed to be the one taking the hot tag. So Matt actually pulls his hand away as Ambrose dove. And I thought, whoa, is Matt turning heel or something? But it was actually quite awkward.
Man, look at Matt saying, you can be the teacher. I am the dean around here. Should be following my lead.
Okay.
So anyway, then there was a blind tag to Matt almost right away here to set up the poetry in motion to Miz. Then... Poor Matt, he had a rough go of things here with Miz because he went for the twist of fate, but Miz took a swinging neck breaker instead, and this set up the Swanton. I mean, he ended up in the same position he needed to, and then Jeff pinned the Miz.
Some real awkwardness in the end here with a couple of spots, but overall I thought a pretty good 6-way tag.
So the babyfaces got the win, and then Michael Cole is teeing up Corey to comment on the Intercontinental title match, but Corey was doing an impression of me. He was distracted on his phone while someone was trying to talk to him. The way it was pointed out to me. And Corey is distracted, and he gets up and he walks off the set. And then they plug tonight. Alexa Bliss will be presenting Bayley, This Is Your Life. Still to come on tonight's review.
A lot of people looked forward to that.
Kurt Angle was in his office, and he's reading his phone with a very, very concerned look on his face.
Yeah.
Maybe he's close friends with Tiger Woods. And
He should have checked his phone earlier in the day.
very stunned. Corey comes in. He has received some information that is very alarming to Kurt Angle, who says he could get removed from general manager for this. Angle says if this is true, it could ruin him. And that's where this was left off.
I'm intrigued, wondering what this is leading up to. Perhaps Angle's first program.
Did you find this a little confusing with what they would do later with Corey and Cass? Because at first, I thought he had information that he was showing Kurt regarding the Enzo attack. But this is, I feel, separate things. And Corey is just the insider now that gets all these tips.
I took it as two separate things, but I think it's unusual to have Corey, the commentator, be involved in an actual storyline. And for him to be involved in two storylines on the same show, I could see why people might be confused.
I just didn't know what if he was showing Kurt here some damaging information that tied the two together.
Why would Kurt get removed if he was somehow, I guess, if
He's
somehow
held responsible here.
This
happened on his watch. Now watching this, very likely is just some kind of storyline for Kurt.
Yeah.
But do you see this as any possibility that this could end up with Kurt being moved out of this role, or at least having someone to work off of? Because this guy is not excelling in this role.
Kurt?
Kurt.
I think he's doing a fine job. What do you look for, though? What is excelling to you?
Life during a segment.
I think he's fine. I don't think a GM is supposed to carry the show. I think the GM is just supposed to be there to make the matches.
Well, he's not even doing that now.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, he's extremely limited.
But I don't think he's been bad at all. I've actually enjoyed his performances. I think they've been fine. They haven't been, show stealing, but I don't think they're supposed to be.
I just don't see much of a tonight's show. They did the angle with him and Corey, and outside of that, I mean, it's just to me, it's a role that.
But does he have a match at the pay-per-view?
Who?
Kurt.
He's never gonna have a match at the pay-per-view.
Yeah. So why does?
I just feel it's a redundant role he's playing at this point, and it seems every week he's doing less and less.
I think this could lead to, I don't know, maybe Steph's return, or maybe even a tease of a program for him to lead to an actual match.
Well, at least it's a storyline for him. It's a purpose. Elias Samson was in the middle of the ring, and the lights go down. He performs, and then he took on Zach Evans. And Evans hit him with some chops and gets dropped. And Booker says that Samson could be the next big thing in the WWE.
Yeah, Brock Lesnar got a similar push.
He's on the watch. Mm-hmm. Tosses Evans upside down into the corner. Crowd was very dead here. Repeatedly drives Evans onto the edge of the apron, bends his back around the post, and yells, "Who wants to walk with Elias?"
Is that like a...
That's his T-shirt one day.
Walk with Elias?
Who wants to walk with Elias?
Is there a pun there?
No, that's what he yelled. That's just his question he's asking the general public.
He is the drifter, and drifters walk. You never see a drifter.
Well, if you want to play on the W's end, who wants to wander with Elias?
Or who wants to drift with Elias? Yeah. But drifters never run. They're in no rush. They're just there to steadily guide along.
Well, this match went at the speed of Continental Drift, and it ended with him hitting what was identified as a swinging neck breaker. It was more like an inverted version, and won this match in 2:40.
Yeah.
The next big thing.
Yeah, I would say the reaction he got this week was neither good nor bad. It didn't really get much of a reaction, the song he did. But the song itself was neither really good nor bad to the point that I think it would have elicited, very obvious boos. It was just kind of there. Yeah, I found it funny, though. Like, he's sitting there playing the song the entire time, and the lights, turn on, and this dude, the Zach Evans, is just standing in the corner the entire time. Was he there the whole time? It felt a little interesting. Yeah. But the announcers pretty much did all they can to really put this guy over.
Booker went way overboard. Mm-hmm. There's an art to doing a squash match, and I mean, it should. I just felt at the end of this didn't really enhance Elias Samson to me in any way. I found even in 240, I found that this just kind of was.
Yeah, I know. Like they come up with a lot of gimmicks and ideas that are kind of comical, kind of funny. And they feel like the way to make them work is to allow those guys to be ultra aggressive. Like they tried it with like a Tyler Breeze, or even a Fandango when they debuted. Oh, these are such like wild off the wall gimmicks. But if we made them really aggressive in the ring, fans might start to actually take them seriously. But it often doesn't work out, and people see right through it. Bo Dallas, another guy, and here Samson has this ridiculous gimmick of a guy playing guitar, singing funny songs. Well, let's just make him really aggressive so that people can take him seriously. I think people see through that. There's a real disconnect between what the gimmick is and the way the guy wrestles in the ring. So I don't know. I think there's got to be more meat to it.
Do you like him being paired with The Miz?
Samson?
Yeah.
Not really.
No.
I mean, I can't see him being anything but just accessory character to The Miz.
Because I feel he's going to help Miz get the title on Sunday and then drift into a program with Ambrose.
Yeah.
Which I'm not
He could.
holding my breath
Sure.
for. But,
Yeah.
I mean, they're clearly going in with this guy. I mean, they have ideas for him. At least based on this match.
I guess it could be all right.
You sound very sold on the man. Samoa Joe was backstage watching Finn Balor's entrance. I guess this was from something else because he hadn't entered the arena yet. And Charlie speaks to him. This was great. He has analyzed Finn Balor's 24 documentary to learn his weaknesses. Catch him when he's most vulnerable. Get a FaceTime call coming his way. And then go attack his friends back home. Go after his father. And he says that he now knows how to better hurt him. He knows Balor well. His body can be broken. And then is interrupted by Bray Wyatt, who has taken over the feed, which was clearly a tutorial amongst WWE talent on Monday night of how to intercept someone's interview mid-sentence with your own video. This was a Bray promo for the ages. He is the devil you don't know. Joe is blind, and his eyes are wide open. He sees the future and the beast running wild on civilization. And then, one of my quotes of the night, I can see a world where the beast screams with a deafening wickedness that impales the wings of angels and demons mid-flight.
Wow, you transcribed all that.
Mid-flight.
I feel bad for the closed captioning people who have to do that live.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I have to rewind it
Really
3 times.
is. Well, Sam knows what that's about.
He's a master.
Yeah.
He says only one can defeat the beast, and that man is the Eater of Worlds, who is ready to leave the carcass of the beast empty, and tells Joe and the others to give in to their fear and run. Do I have to make the same complaint every week?
Yeah. Bray needs promo time every single week. I wish it was something a bit more different each week rather than just, insert generic opponent here and then insert generic Bray Wyatt promo right after it. At least Samoa Joe had, he was watching Finn Balor on 24. Maybe they should have had Bray watch and commentate his viewing of Finn Balor 24.
Well, all I can say is if you have to go back and check notes when you're asked, what did that guy say in that promo? It's a problem. 3-way, Joe, Balor, and the poet, Bray Wyatt. Cole explains that it is the first to get a fall will win tonight, just like on Sunday. So that's the answer to our question. It's not an elimination match on Sunday. There was a Tower of Doom spot where Balor got thrown off the top, and Bray played to the crowd as he set up for the Sister Abigail, but Joe came from behind, applying the Coquina clutch. Balor broke that. Balor then hit this Tope Con Hero to the floor, and as they went to the break, Bray's eyes were like popping out of their sockets in stunned shock from this flip. Then they came back. Bray attacked Balor from behind. Both Joe and Bray hit sentons, but then Bray stopped Joe with a clothesline, sent them to the floor. Joe comes back. He hit a clothesline to Balor, an enziguri to Bray, and then Balor runs into a Uranagi into the corner by Joe. Bray follows by blocking a Sister Abigail, and Joe counters the sling blade with a belly-to-belly. We got the spider walk by Bray towards Joe, and then Joe runs into Sister Abigail. Balor gets on top, but he has to pop off to go hit the sling blade, and then a running drop kick to Bray. Ends with the coup de grace. Joe tosses Balor into the corner to the floor, and then steals the pinfall, pinning Bray Wyatt. So Samoa Joe is your winner.
I enjoyed the match. I thought it did a great job elevating Balor as a fan favorite. I feel like in the past 3 weeks, or I would say more so 2 weeks, I don't think the Roman clean loss necessarily helped him. But I would say everything from the Finn Balor special over to the past couple weeks has really helped elevate him in the eyes of the main roster audience, I'd say. Here, especially with him playing the undersized babyface against two monster heels, I think was especially designed well. And Joe even stealing the pin, I think worked out for both those guys. So,
well, they're trying to get across the rules of this match on Sunday, that you have 5 guys in there and that it's going to be this scramble for the fall. So I didn't mind that at all. And Joe gets the win. And then Mike Rome was backstage with Seth Rollins. He says that Samoa Joe always shows up when he turns his back, has a complicated history with Roman Reigns. It's always a war when they get into the ring. Both want to be the best, and says that it's a fact that Seth freaking Rollins owns Roman Reigns. So I guess he didn't get the hint from Paul Heyman last week. And he says his knee used to be his biggest weakness. Now it's his biggest strength. And that is what will take him into tonight's main event. We then had a shot of Sasha Banks and Rich Swann without sound interacting backstage. This had to be the fakest looking interaction in WWE programming history. If there is one thing, 30-second window to go and view from Monday if you missed Raw, it is this. And watching these two and imagining what they are saying as they play like Pictionary with one another to describe what they're going to do outside, doing every possible mannerism that they have in their drop-down menu. Did you miss this?
No, I saw it.
It was something. So Noam Dar took on Rich Swann, and we've got a mixed tag for Sunday with Dar and Fox against Rich Swann and Sasha Banks, who I guess has been drafted to 205 Live.
We'll see.
Dar attacks Swann from behind, goes after his arm. Swann came back with a spin kick to the body, a somersault leg drop onto the back of the head, climbs to the top, and Fox gets on the apron. Banks trips her and throws her into the apron. Swann finishes with a Phoenix splash and wins in 2:52. And then Swann and Sasha dance together in the middle of the ring.
It's I think it's certainly a bit of a filler program for Sasha, but I like it. I like the cruisers feeling more like they're a part of the actual roster. They do a bit of a dance routine at the end, and I'll say I think Rich Swann is a way better dancer than Sasha.
What are you talking about?
Just way better.
Wow. Charlie then interviews the Revival, and Dash shows off his jaw wired shut, and they bring up the Enzo attack from last week, and Dawson calls this one of those gotcha questions. And they show the video from last week where they are shown in the background as Charlie was interviewing Sasha, and says they've been here almost every week since the injury. They work here. And Dawson calls Enzo the tilapia of Raw and is a bottom feeder. Graves is then with Cole and Booker and states that Cass has definitely seen the footage from last week, but won't elaborate when Booker T presses him. They recap the street fight from last week with Tozawa defeating Kendrick, and then we cut back to the announcer's desk, and Big Cass comes out and confronts Corey on the comment and what he was trying to insinuate. Someone that was very thin-skinned here. And Cass says Enzo is like his little brother and was taking issue with Graves, insinuating he may have been behind it. And Graves just squirmed and talked his way out of this, stating, "No, I just meant that you're investigating this." And it ends with a handshake, and Cass takes off. I kind of like this mystery that you have some suspects.
Big roles for Corey on this show. I enjoyed both things involving Corey. I think it makes things a little bit more eye-catching and realistic when you have a commentator who's not normally involved in the storyline suddenly interject himself into some things, you know? And I thought Cass played, like, offended really well. And, you know, a classic whodunit. It leads you to suspect everybody. I loved what they did with Dash and Dawson from last week because I saw it appear, like, pop up on the internet after the show. Hey, like... you know, like it was like it felt like we were all in on the mystery. You know what I mean, as fans, and spotting like it was like kind of playing Where's Waldo. I was almost disappointed that they revealed it so quickly this week, hoping that they would continue to do this for several weeks, so that audiences after Raw can try to catch Dash and Dawson throughout the entire show. It would at least like give people a reason to pay attention to like, you know, they should do it during a 205 Live match really when nobody's watching, just to have them like in the crowd or something. But you know, maybe they don't have the enough time and they want to have Revival up and running sooner than that.
Then we had Kalisto against Titus O'Neil. They did an insert promo with Titus and Apollo, with Titus telling Apollo to watch and learn from his athleticism and charisma. Kalisto smashes Titus's head into the mat with a Hurricane Rana, goes for a wheelbarrow, and Titus just sits down, grabs the tights, and wins in 51 seconds. And celebrated with Apollo.
Was it that short?
51 seconds.
Wow. So Kalisto's had a few wins. A couple, right? He beat Braun Strowman, of course, in that dumpster match.
And he beat Apollo last week.
Beat Apollo last week. Perhaps
lost to
something
Titus.
in the works, but no.
I don't know about that.
Kalisto looks like he's just kind of returning to the bottom after all these fluke wins, unfortunately. So, and like, I love Apollo just after this season, not really looking all that upset. Who, you know, that this guy just beat one of his supposed good friends. Anyway, I see Kalisto having life on 205 Live, you know, relatively soon, because I think 205 Live needs him, quite frankly, and I just, how much value can you get out of him as a jobber, right?
Just remember, he is not garbage.
Right.
Then the main event. Alexa Bliss comes out for the This Is Your Life segment.
Mm-hmm.
The ring is all decorated. We have 3 guests in the ring and all this Bayley-related memorabilia on this desk. And Alexa was asked to carry quite a lot here. First off, she showed everyone Bayley's first ever doll, which she went to go say what age she was when she used this before revealing that she still plays with this doll, and then tossed it away. She showed off a Bayley trophy she got for Best in Sportsmanship, and then looked at Bayley's yearbook, where she was voted most likely to apologize, which I feel I'm going to vote the writers of this segment. Bayley's teacher was then introduced, Mrs. Flapper, who informed us that Bayley used to cry being away from her parents at school. Then we moved over to Tracy Javelina, Bayley's ex-best friend, who used to, and said that Bayley used to do other people's homework, and then Alexa mocked her for dressing like a 12-year-old. And then finally, Bayley's ex-boyfriend, Phil Johnson, who says that Bayley was a very nice girl, but Bayley's father was just always around, even when they'd go on dates. And then there was one time when he closed his eyes to go kiss Bayley, and when he opened his eyes, Bayley's father was there.
What?
The crowd was very loud in chanting delete, and says he only dated Bayley so that he could get close to Tracy. And Booker, speaking on behalf of everybody, said, "This is hard to watch." And then Tracy and Phil started making out, and Bayley had had enough. She was so angry, Way. Could you imagine if someone did this to you?
No. I can't imagine.
First of all, that would be the biggest problem in this segment.
I would laugh. I would just come
How
out laughing.
How could you possibly be upset about this? All this fake shit that you've garnered of mine.
This was an undeniably awful segment, and maybe one that will be talked about for years to come.
This was compared to the old day of last year.
The old day? Oh, okay. I thought you were going to compare it to the other This Is Your Life segment,
Well,
which we all look very fondly back at. But in hindsight, that one wasn't all that great, but that one was a masterpiece compared to what this was.
The audience loved that one.
Oh, yeah.
The audience hated this, and rightfully so.
Even myself as a viewer, I found myself kind of waiting for like that big punchline, something to kind of make this whole thing worthwhile. And I guess what it was the swerve at the end with Phil and Tracy wanting to get together. But it was not worth sitting through the rest of this. You know, everything from the props to the teacher to the girlfriend to the boyfriend, nothing really had any redeeming comedic value coming out of it. And to watch the crowd sit through it and eventually just start to boo louder and louder was probably the most entertaining part of it.
Yeah, this was awful. I am reminded of one of Eli Drake's Facts of Life segment this year on Impact, which was a dreadfully bad segment. Those, to me, are the front runners for our worst segment of the year.
Right.
Just so many fewer people probably saw the Facts of Life segment, but it was terrible. So Bayley comes out, attacks Alexa, and then points to the kendo stick that's set up on the pole in the corner all of a sudden.
It was there at the beginning, too.
Oh,
They showed it. Yeah.
Well, I didn't see it till now, so that was a nice little surprise. Bliss stopped Bayley from climbing, grabbed the kendo stick, and attacked Bayley with the kendo stick. I praised this program. I said it was my most anticipated or best built storyline going into Extreme Rules, and this was the pin into the balloon for me.
They had a fumble this week.
Wait, this was a disqualification.
I would say the kendo stuff, kendo stick stuff at the end was still good. I think they've done a very good job teasing Bayley with this kendo stick and not having. They didn't even give away her reaching and grabbing the kendo stick. They don't even have her holding it. And I love that. I love that they're trying to frame that this, such an innocent girl. How can we see her hold a kendo stick? And once she grabs it, will she use it? We don't know. I love that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the thinking was of this. Like you have to look at the kind of dynamic a performer has to carry a segment like this. Mm-hmm. And no offense, like Alexa Bliss, and I would say the majority of the roster can't do this. And this was awfully put together. You're right. There was no climax to this. Yeah. This wasn't even structured for an easy pop at the end.
The climax was a weak climax.
It was Bayley running out.
It was Phil and Tracy getting together. You know what I mean? But I would say, I think Alexa is very strong, maybe one of the strongest women. Probably her and Charlotte, I think, are the best promos in the division right now. But I think the writing in this was just exceptionally weak for what it was designed to be and the expectations that I think a segment like this sets you up for.
And part of that first This Is Your Life, which was 21 minutes, that was also not written.
Oh, is that right?
It was the two working off one another. I mean, it was,
but it was
your
still,
typical bullet point kind of segment, whereas this, I guarantee you, was significantly structured.
Perhaps.
This was probably structured to the word.
Maybe.
As most segments
And you also
are.
had The Rock. Okay.
Well, that's the point. I mean, I don't think anyone was saying, you know what, that concept is really something here.
Somebody must
Nothing
have
to do
said
with the performers.
Somebody must have said it.
Well, they've only done This Is Your Life one other time, and they did it with Rock and Mankind again. So I think it kind of tells you.
I don't think that one turned out that well either.
The second one was not that great.
Yeah.
The second one culminated with Jimmy Snuka and Mae Young. Bayley, anyway, that ended that. They plugged Table for Three, which is on as we speak, with Jim Cornette, Eric Bischoff, and Michael Hayes. That could have just aired on Raw.
What's that?
The 30-minute Table for Three.
I actually look forward to watching that one. Jim Cornette on a Table for Three. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
Who else would you put in that table? Jim Cornette.
To be honest, I would have just left Cornette and Bischoff because I think that's enough of an intrigue to see that.
You need a mediator.
It's kind of a waste, though, of Michael Hayes. Anyone could be in that middle seat. Michael Hayes is great on his own.
True.
I mean, put him with.
That's what I want to see Table for Three evolve into. Just like uncomfortable situations, uncomfortable dinners with guys who have spoken so much shit about each other online.
That should be it.
Vince Russo should have taken that spot.
Maybe they should do Table for One.
and put who?
Just put someone out there for 30 minutes and see what they do.
I don't know if that'd be entertaining.
So we're backstage. Enzo's been knocked out again. He's out cold. This is
idiot.
This is the worst. The second concussion. That's where you do damage.
What if Enzo has been faking it this whole time?
Oh wow.
What does that mean?
Just to screw with Cass.
Yeah.
Get a false sense of security. And Cass is worried. And Enzo could stick him onto two innocent bystanders. He's using him. So the trainers are checking on him. Cass comes to check on him. Cass kind of sucks as a friend on this show. You had nothing else to do on Raw, and you let your buddy get beat up again.
He's not supposed to watch him 24 hours a day.
Well, that's what he said here at the end. He said,
will.
I'm never leaving Enzo's side again. Why did you need a second attack? A second vicious attack?
How I wouldn't expect somebody to get attacked like this 2 weeks in a row.
This kind of became comedy at this point for me, with Enzo getting knocked out again. It's like, we did the attack. They didn't shoot JR twice.
It's important to note here that Angle says that he saw the Revival leave prior to this with his own eyes.
Yeah, Angle showed up for his big segment on the show to state that. The Revival left, and Cass is furious. And there he said he's not leaving Enzo's side.
Okay, so they seem to be disqualifying the Revival as well, who I thought after the Where's Waldo bit last week for sure were going to be the culprits. But If it's not the Revival,
Do we see anyone else in the background?
we'll let the internet suggest that.
Maybe it's Charlie.
Whoa. With what? What would she have used? Her bare hands?
Her microphone.
She's got a pretty weak skull, I'd say.
Neville and TJP took on Austin Aries and Jack Gallagher. They went through the break early. Neville landed a missile dropkick on Gallagher, which Booker called a violent spot. They dragged Gallagher by the hair. He tagged in TJP, who raked the eyes behind the referee's back. Aries eventually got the tag, attacked Neville. Neville stopped a last chancery attempt, and TJP tripped Aries from the floor. Gallagher then yanked TJP off the apron. There was a back body drop that sent Neville to the floor, and then Aries hit a tope to both of them, limps on the injured knee, and then Aries misses a missile drop kick to Neville. Neville then misses a Phoenix splash, and Aries applies the last chancery, and Neville taps out.
Yeah. Yeah, the Chancery got a good reaction. The rest of the match did not. Both segments of it. How long did this match last?
Oh, this went through like 2 segments.
This
So
was like a 20-minute match or something like that. But, it's kind of what you would expect.
really classy Greenville.
They at least weren't chanting other things, you know? They were just disinterested, but they weren't chanting CM Punk.
This is a pretty good crowd for most of the show.
Well, yeah.
Listen, they're just not into a lot of these guys.
This is not into the 205 guys. And you know what? At some point, do we ask, is it simply that they're small? How much does that have to do with it?
I think they're not stars to these people because in an arena of 9,000, I mean, you're going to have a lot of just general fans that, listen, not even a lot of the hardcores are watching 205 Live.
Yeah.
This thing is not even amongst the 20 most watched shows on the WWE Network in a given week.
Yeah.
People are watching older pay-per-views rather than 205 Live. Live!
Right. No doubt.
No one is familiar with these people to any grand extent. And even if you watch 205 Live, I mean, these are 4 of more of the developed characters.
But you've seen them so often.
There is not a quote-unquote star on 205 Live, and that's including Neville and Aries. Great performers, but you don't have a superstar on this show that is the kind of person that is going to pick up an audience. And this is week to week to week.
I watch a match like this, and I do wonder, is a guy like Aries being wasted in a division like this? Because I could see him being in the mix with much larger opponents and being a very sympathetic babyface, or even being like an awesome heel to a group of guys that are bigger than him. It's
Everyone
kind of
on this show is suffering. This show needs a stick of dynamite stuck into it because this version, it started in November. It's now almost June. Yeah. This thing has failed. And guys are not over as a result of it. And they were over during a tournament.
To a different crowd.
That crowd was watching them on the network. That was more watched than 205 Live. One true. Formula, no question, was more successful than another. Mike Rome then speaks to Roman Reigns in the locker room. He doesn't care if they were best friends or enemies. He says no one owns him, and he's going to show everyone why he's the big dog, and it's his yard. Neville then is backstage. He's furious over his loss, and then Charlie points out this was his first loss since joining the Cruiserweight division, and he storms off with this stat.
Wow, is that right?
Look at Charlie doing her homework. Do you feel if they were going to do the title change that they should have saved the loss for Sunday? That tap? It's a submission match.
True. It kind of leads me to think that maybe he won't lose it.
Maybe he doesn't. Then they recapped Goldust's turn on R-Truth from 2 weeks ago, and we get another Shattered Dreams video. He quotes Psycho about going mad. He says he's back in the director's chair where he's always belonged. R-Truth knew the truth, that a star like him was too big for a supporting role. He held him back, and Truth wanted the spotlight to himself, and he's a selfish, selfish man. And their motion picture will reach a final crescendo, and it will be golden. And it repeats that the golden age is back. But then, there was a video interruption. I'm worried this could happen to us. And we get an R-Truth production, a Truth Be Told production. And it's R-Truth doing his own version of Goldust's Shattered Dreams video.
With like blaxploitation graphics.
Yes. And says, "Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration? quoting Pulp Fiction. So he also got the script ahead of time of Goldust production. And says where he came from, movies were an escape. And he took inspiration from the likes of Shaft and Jules Winfield. And he's going to strike down with great vengeance and furious anger. And you're going to get got. This is one of the best things on the show for me. I thought this was great.
I did like it. I thought it advanced the feud well with a retort from Truth. I thought it would just be hearing from Goldust in this whole thing, but nice to see Truth kind of have his own little thing too. And nice to see Truth do something that's not rapping for once.
Or bad.
Yeah, that too. I think there's a lot of fun they could have in this feud using various movie references. And in future weeks, I like to see them hopefully have the time and the money to get out of the studio to do some like actual, replications of like famous movie scenes or something.
Goldust telling our Truth that you on your own, you're going to flop like Baywatch did.
Did it flop?
Oh, it did pretty badly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And I know critically it's done pretty bad, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking, like, critics have just ripped it apart. But, I mean, audience, like, scores have been okay.
What are you expecting when you're watching Baywatch, though?
Well, I didn't see it, so.
Are you going to?
No, I'm not. I'm not really that interested in seeing it. I had some friends who saw it and told me it was awful. But anyway, it was very below what they had expected it would make. It did like $23 million this weekend.
Nah, it's too bad for The Rock.
He'll do just fine.
Yeah,
I think he'll be fine.
I hope he's okay financially.
On his other note, Fast and the Furious is now up to, I think, $1.2 billion, so he's fine. 205 Live, all they've announced is Sasha Banks will be on the show on Tuesday night. Maybe in a match?
She's under 205.
Then we had the main event, Seth Rollins against Roman Reigns. Lengthy match. They went 18 minutes in total. There was a spot early as they went to break where Roman went for a spear and went right into the knee of Seth Rollins, which you may not have seen, but in the opening fight on the UFC card in Sweden, this was how Demir Hadzovic stopped Marcin Held.
Oh, he kneed him as he went for a takedown.
Held had won the first two rounds, convincingly. And then in the opening sequence of the third round, he shot in and boom, was just done.
Ouch. I've done that to people, like by accident.
Need them in the face?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Reigns had a mark under his right eye, so maybe Rollins slipped too here, delivering this knee. Rollins then did a springboard and got hit with a Superman punch, but Rollins kicked out. Then Reigns set up for the spear, but Rollins sidestepped into a roll-up, hit a super kick. Reigns then chased him around the ring, and Rollins sidestepped, and Reigns went right into the steps. Then he took over, hit a blockbuster, hit a frog splash, and then Rollins misses with a Phoenix Splash, which was the third Phoenix Splash on this show.
Yeah, they need to communicate with each other about this move.
Yeah.
I don't think Neville needs to do it from the second rope. Let Rich Swann have it. He's the only guy using it as a finisher. Rollins doesn't need it. Come on.
Yeah, it's very rare Rollins pulls this out. But anyway, he missed it here. So Rollins then did his little wrist clutch into the flying knee, the Thundermaker. And Reigns then comes off the ropes and spears him for the win. Really great match. And the highlight was a cutaway to these two guys with their hands on their head in disbelief that Roman had won. But a really great match.
Are they really in disbelief? Was that a sarcastic disbelief that Roman won?
I don't know, but the looks on their faces were priceless.
It was a very nice closing sequence. I found Reigns actually, I think it's nice to see Reigns go back and forth between heel and babyface working in matches depending on who he's with. And here, I definitely looked at him working like a slow, methodical heel. All the way up until the finish, at least. So he definitely has that versatility up until this point. Overall, I don't necessarily see ratings changing all that much as a result of the quality of the show. Maybe due to the lack of competition.
Yeah, they got a break from the NBA, so that's a positive for them.
They did have hockey, but
there was hockey. I mean, that's less competition, but yeah, I think this number will be interesting to see what kind of their audience is for a non-NBA week.
How did you like it as a go-home show?
I can't say I'm all that intrigued with this pay-per-view on Sunday. I think they kind of I think the main event's going to be a really, really good match. I think that's the most interest people have is that main event. I mean, it kind of just feels like a show. Feels a lot kind of like the Backlash did a few weeks ago.
You're getting a number one contenders match. I would say Backlash had a bit more intrigue with, obviously, with Jinder and also the debut of Nakamura.
Yeah, you're right.
This show doesn't really have that hook, The Extreme Rules gimmick has really not been effective. The most effective it is in the Bayley match with the kendo stick. I would say that would be probably the second most interesting thing on the show.
Well, that one was hurt tonight for me.
Yeah. Miz and Dean with the DQ stip.
0.
Yeah, not really. I mean, I've seen that match before. The stip I have no interest in.
Even the Hardys against Sheamus and Cesaro, like I just feel a cage match, it's a tough match to get people into.
Well, the one spot I think everyone's looking forward to is Jeff diving off the cage. And I feel like they have to deliver that. Poor Jeff. I know. The guy does 2 ladder matches, WrestleMania weekend. And now, comes back, has to do this. We also have, of course, Neville versus Austin Aries.
I'm looking forward to that. That's probably that and the main event are the 2 I have the interest in.
Well, you forget. You forget about Rich Swann and Sasha Banks taking on Noam Dar and Alicia Fox.
I thought they were going to add Goldust and R-Truth on this show.
They haven't announced the kickoff match yet, so I think that'd be a waste. Though I feel like those 2 are just getting started.
I mean, I don't want to see a long, sustained feud between the 2. But you're right; they can get a little more out of it.
There's something there, though, with the whole movie.
I like that segment a lot. I know, maybe I was a little bit on a curve after that This Is Your Life segment, but I've enjoyed Goldust since the breakup, and I thought Truth was very good tonight in his own video. So they haven't announced that. There's nothing for, I guess, Cass and Enzo and Anderson and Gallows, so you can add stuff. I mean, it's just it's a lot of just stuff that you see all the time, and I know a lot of people complain about NXT being so slow and there's weeks where there isn't a ton of progression, but you can't deny that when they finally get to the match at TakeOver, there's a buzz in the crowd, there's an anticipation, and you never have dead crowds when you finally get to the payoffs.
It is very true.
This feels like the end of a goddamn 10-kilometer race where I'm exhausted and I've seen every combination.
But NXT doesn't have to do 3 hours of TV a week, and nor do they have to worry about ratings.
Well, that's the predicament you put yourself in when you've got this product.
It's very tough. Where you have to. It's a tough position to be put in when you have to make sure that you put on a compelling 3 hours every week, enough to draw ratings, and to do an extra 3 hours that culminates. I'm not sure how they can get around this issue.
It's the 3-hour era, which we're coming up on the 5-year anniversary of.
Oh my God.
But that is going to bring to a close this show. But want to let you know that coming up this Wednesday on Review of SmackDown, we will review everything that goes down on Tuesday night in Atlanta. And we're going to be giving away VIP passes to the Niagara Falls Comic-Con. The celebrity guest this year is Wai Ting, who's going to be there on Sunday. But you can use these passes Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. In addition to Wai Ting, second billing goes to Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Tito Santana will be there. Gene Okerlund, Ryback will be there as well. So lots of wrestlers you can meet. So those passes will be given out on Wednesday's Review of SmackDown. So
and if you're watching us on YouTube, you can go to liveaudiowrestling.com or subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever. If you want to hear our extended show featuring some feedback, and maybe we'll even do some bantering at the start of it.
I can't wait. All right, so that's going to wrap things up. Go to liveaudiowrestling.com and youtube.com/liveaudiowrestling, and we'll speak with you later this week.